begin with the basic thing. Ultimately, everything is based on what? IP. And now today in IP, what we have? You have basically IP. In IP, basically we have what? So we have today IPv4 as well as IPv6. Right, guys? There is nothing new. This is part of your CCNA, CCNP syllabus. So we'll start off with first with IPv4. Then we'll move on to later on. During the course, we'll move to IPv6. First, we'll see the technologies with IPv4. So let's say I give you some IP address. Okay, let me type an IP address 10.20.30.40. Okay, so I'm just writing your 10.20.30.40. What is this?
It's a IPv4 private IP address.
It's an IPv4 private IP address. Okay, good.
Class
What else?
A.
What else you can say?
It's Class A private IP address.
It is class A private IP address. Very good. What is the What is the network? What is the network or subnet of this IP?
By default, Class 8.
Class 8.
255.0.0.0.
.0.0.0.
So when somebody just shows you like this IP address without any subnet mask, because an IP address should be always associated with what? A subnet mask, because subnet mask tells us what is the network portion and what is the host portion, right? So when I said just 10.20.30.40, if I am not specifying the subnet mask, then what maximum I can say is what? That okay, this IP basically belongs to, since it is 10, so it is basically class A private IP address. Okay.
It's a classful.
And since I have not specified the subnet mask, then I can assume that it can be what?
Classful IP address.
/8 as per the classful subnet. Okay, so subnet mask is very important because subnet mask tells us the IP the IP belongs to what, whether it belongs to a network or whether it belongs to a subnet, like that. Suppose if I put like this IP, now if I put like this, then what happens? Now it is, this IP belongs to what?
Class C.
No, classless IP address. And
Classless IP address.
Yes.
this
So now it is basically, it belongs to what? Some subnet.
subnet.
Yes.
So anytime if you see an IP address with the default subnet mask, anytime if you see some IP address with the default subnet mask, that means that IP address belongs to what? That network, some network. But if you see an IP address without the default subnet mask, something else other than the subnet mask, that means what? It belongs to what? A subnet. So in IP address, basically we have what? A network address, subnet address, and we can even have what? A host address. So this 10.20.30.40 possibly is what? A host IP. It belongs to what? Some subnet of class A network 10.0.0.0/8. Correct? If I write /18, are you guys comfortable in writing dotted form? What will be in the dotted form?
255.255.192.0.
So you guys need to be, now it's not that critical, but still better to know both slash in CIDR format also as well as dotted format also.
Okay.
Okay, guys. I'm sure all of you have heard of access list, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What about redistribution, route redistribution?
To pass the traffic from one protocol to
No,
other
no,
protocol.
just right now, just tell me the, yes or no, okay? What is it we'll discuss like later on. So you guys, I'm sure you guys must be aware of route redistribution. You guys must be aware of route
Yes.
filtering,
Yes.
summarization,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
okay? Then we have your, you guys all, I'm sure you must be all be familiar with routing basically. We have what two types of routing, static routing and dynamic routing, correct?
Yes.
So static routing also I'm sure very easy for you guys, should not be a challenge. Dynamic routing, we have the routing protocols, majorly OSP, VHRP, but we will also see RIP also, RIP version 2. Then we also have another protocol called as what, BGP. So that also will be covering. MPLS
Dynamic
I'll be
routing.
covering. Then we have the IPsec VPNs. So all basic topics will be covering. Okay, we have IP services. We will be covering NAT. I'll be covering your monitoring applications, syslog, SNMP, NetFlow, DHCP, NTP. So all the IP services will be covered. And once we have, once we are done all these topics traditionally, then we'll move on to what, SDN, software defined networking,
Network.
later on. Because ultimately, see, basically software defined networking basically means what, you try to automate, you try to simplify the job, you try to optimize your network graphically, basically using some softwares, correct? But first we must know all the technologies, because in,
Or is it
if you go inside SD-WAN, and if and you have to configure BGP over there, and if you don't know BGP, how BGP works, what are the minimum configuration required, what are the commands to be done with, then the software is not going to help you.
or
So
is it possible to
the
show us the
technology must be first understood. Once the technology is clear, then we can think of automating it, we can think of optimizing it, we can think of simplifying it later on. Okay guys,
Sir, is it possible to show us the topics you're gonna cover by list?
you can go, best thing will be what I'll suggest, because see, it's a big list, no use of showing me, I showing you maybe 200 words maybe, no use. Best thing is what, go to Cisco site, go under CCI Enterprise, you have a PDF, download it and keep it with you.
Sure.
So that
Thank you,
will
sir.
be the best,
No, no, it's okay. Thank you, sir.
okay? Because it doesn't make sense to first day discuss everything, and just overall I'm talking like that, because if I say BGP, in BGP, if you go to that PDF, there will be maybe 50 things, maybe 10 things like that, just for example, please understand, okay? It makes no sense to think talk about each and everything on the first day, and then maybe for some people might get scared,
Yeah. Thank you for your advice. Thank you, sir.
So let's not worry, let's start with something very easy first day, comfortable. Let's get comfortable first, let's
Exactly.
try to enjoy the topics first, and then we'll see.
Sure, sir.
Everybody's ultimate goal is what, to get that CCI Enterprise Infrastructure Certificate, right? The CCI number, everybody wants to have that, correct? This is what is the reason you are over here. So to achieve that, it will require your time and effort. It can't be done in one single day. I would request all of you to keep the mic mute only when needed. Just unmute your mic and you can talk, so that it doesn't become a
Yes, yes, sir.
disturbance for everybody, because this is getting recorded, Okay.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Sir, how about the multicasting and quality of service?
Yeah, that
Sir,
also will be done.
cover it or
Yes.
not?
Yes, multicasting QoS will be done. Don't worry.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll cover multicast QoS also. Don't worry. As I said, IPv6 also, in IPv6 also will be doing routing, will be doing multicasting in IPv6 also. All those topics will be there. That's the reason I said, just whatever is in the blueprint, inshallah, we'll try to cover almost everything in the blueprint. Okay. Now, very quickly, let us go through the class. Okay. Class A, what is the range?
1 to 127.
10 0 0 2 0 10 255 255 255.
1
Simple, you can write.
126.
10 to 126.
0 to 126.
0 to 126.
Yeah.
Actually, it is 0 to 127, but 0 can't be the IP address. In same way, (127) is reserved. So basically, the IP addresses available to be, which can be used, is 1 to 126. Correct?
127 is.
It is used for local loopbacks. What about class A? Class B, sorry.
128 to 191.
191.
So everybody is good. 128 to 191. Class C?
192 to 223.
Very easy. Like that. Just start from the next number and end at some number, right? So class C basically. Class D?
224 to 239, I guess. 239.
And then finally class E will be 242 to 255.
Yes.
Okay. So these are the class A, B, C, D. I'm sure everybody, they are aware of this, because this is what will be introduced to you in the very basic introductory course like CCNA or CCNT or whatever networking. Maybe it could be in N+. Somebody must have done that. So all this thing must have been told to you, right? Very good. Now, have you observed this? This A, B, C, D, or this class ranges. Are they easy to remember? Suppose it would have been 0 to 125, then 126 to maybe 200, then 201 to 225, then 226 to maybe 250 or 240 something. Would it be easy then? So for some people, these ranges these IP addresses, what you see over here, they are not easy to remember because these are not like our normal numbers, right? We are comfortable with 10, 20, 100, 200, like that, maybe 225, 250, maybe multiples of 5, multiples of 25, multiples of 50. These are like common easy numbers, right? But then over here, if you see 128 to 191, you know, class C maybe 192 to 20, 223. Anybody knows the reason why like this numbers? Why not 126 to maybe 190 or maybe 200? 0 to, why not 0 to 125?
Has to be powers of 2, right?
Has to be powers of 2. So 223 is the power of 2?
Power of 8, sorry.
Power of 8. Even if it is power of 8, okay, in 8 table, can you get a odd number? 223, 191, 239, 127.
There are some reserved bits in first octet. That's the reason we get this.
So basically we have what? Basically, any IP address, once we see any IP address, okay, you have what? IP address is made up of what? 4 octets, correct? An IP address is made up of 4 numbers, 4 octet. How big is IPv4? 32 bit. Why? Because each number is what? 1 octet, 1 byte, 8 bits. So 4 numbers means, like example 10.20.30.40, let's say. So 10, basically this 10 number decimal is what? 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits. And since there are 8 bits, we call 8 bit as what? 1 octet, right? And this is called as what? How we make out the class from the first octet, right? And that's the reason over here we have something called as what? First octet rule, like that. A, basically we have what? What is the format for class B?
Host.
Class C will be?
Network.
If you see, this is the format. Class A is 1 octet is for network, remaining 3 octet is for host. Class B is 2 in networks, 2 hosts. Class C is link. So all cannot be network, all cannot be host. So you have this combination like that. Class A, class B, class C, and because like that. And now to identify, see, even though if you see class B, basically it is NN. First, 2 numbers indicate the network portion. But to identify the class, we look only for what? The first octet. And that's the reason we have something called as what? First octet rule. And because of this first octet rule, we get these numbers, this range. Because of this first octet rule, we get this number. Do you want me to explain this?
No, sir.
Why?
Yes, please, sir.
Why we get like these numbers? Okay.
Yes, please, sir.
So let us take class A. Class A range, what we got? 0 to 127. How we got 0 to 127? Okay. Now in class A, as I said, first octet, like that. Remaining bits 1 octet means what? 8 bits, right? So first octet rule states that the first bit of the first octet will be fixed, not used. Remaining bits can be used. Remaining bits can change. Okay. So now I'm just going to use normal. So you have like the first octet, 8 bits. What does the first octet rule says? First bit will not be used. It will remain fixed. It will be off. So this bit is always off. What about the remaining 7 bits? They can change, right? So if they can change, so what will be all the values for the 7 bits? So if you see, this bit is already 0, it will remain 0 only. Remaining 7 bits can change. So original value is 0, all the remaining 7 bits are 0, and this is how, if all the 8 bits are 0, what is the value? We get 0, right? Like that. And now, as I said, first bit will not be changing, it will remain fixed. Remaining all 7 bits can change. So what is the maximum value? 0, 0 or 1, right? So if everything becomes 1, what do you get? You get 127. If everything is 1 remaining, you get 127, not 128. And that is how we got this range, class A, 0 to 127. Okay. Now let's take class B. Okay. For C and D, you can do your homework. I'll show you for class B now. Why we got 128 to 191? Why not 125? Why not 120? Why not 150? It's not like that. Not easy. So now again we go with the first octet rule. Now for class B, how many octet for network portion? We have 2 octets, right? This is the format for class B. 2 octet for the network portion. Let me quickly write the 2 octets. So these are your 16 bits for the network portion. Now, first octet rule says that first bit of the first octet will be fixed. Now you have how many octet for the network portion? 2 octet. So first bit was already fixed in class A, right? First octet is already fixed for class A. Now what is happening? This bit becomes 1. And now the second bit also remains what? Fixed, cannot change now, because you have 2 octets for the network portion. The first 2 bits now become what? Fixed. Remaining bits can change. Remaining bits can change. For class, we identify only what? From the first octet. The class is identified from the first octet, right? So in the first octet now, we have 2 bits which will be fixed. And now if you have all these remaining 6 bits, zeros, what will I get? I will get 1 and 7 zeros. And if you get 1, 7 zeros, the number becomes what? 128. And if you have 1, 0 and remaining 6 bits becoming 1, You get what? This is 128 and this is 63. 128 plus 63 is 91. 191. And that is how we got that number. So 128, because of 1 0, remaining 6 bits can change. So if they don't change, all the 6 bits will be zeros. So 1 and 7 0, basically it is 128. And if the remaining 6 bits, all the 6 bits change, maximum, it becomes what? 191. Clear, guys?
Yes.
What about class C will be? Class C, how many octet? 3 octet, right? Class C, we have 3 octet for the network portion, and that's the reason what will happen now. See, this value will keep on moving. For A, the first one was 0, cannot be used. Now, since I move for the second class B, I moved second bit. That means this bit become what? On now. And the second bit now become what? Off. So same way for class C, basically, what we have is what? It will start with what? 1, 1, 0. Because now 3 octet for the network portion. So 3 bits will be what? Fixed. Will not change. Remaining bits can change. Class D will be what? 1, 1, 1, 0. Okay, guys? So this is how these numbers, this is how the range of all this class A, B, C, D came up. So there is a reason behind this. It's not like randomly somebody picked up this. Can somebody tell me what will be the decimal value for this number? Very easy to use the computer, your computer calculator, right? It's very easy.
It's 240.
So somebody says it is 240. The value for this decimal value is for this 240. Okay. Let us see this now. How we can do this now. Okay. If first bit is on, if you remember in class A, the first bit, if the first bit is on in class B, what is the value we get? 128, correct? Second bit will be what? It's basically powers of 2, right? These are all powers of 2.
64.
32.
So this is how some people, like when we didn't have the calculator and all, we could have done this way.
4.
This is all. This is not something rocket science. Everybody is aware of this, right? Powers of 2. 2 raised to 0 is 1. 2 raised to 1 is 2. 2 raised to 2 is 4. 2 raised to 3 is 8. 2 raised to 4 is 16. 2 raised to 30, 2 raised to 5 is 32, 2 raised to 6 is 64, 2 raised to 7 is 128. So these are the values, like many times some people will write down on the paper. So now if you see now can somebody tell me what will be the value for this decimal?
239.
So somebody says it is 239. Okay. So very easy, whether if you want to do a guess, anytime somebody shows you the binary values of some number, okay, like somebody earlier said 240, then now we are getting an answer 239. So which one will be right? Whether 240 is right or whether 231, 39 is right, without doing any calculation, we can easily make out which one is right. You see this is called as the least significant bit. This is called as what? Most significant bit. The left bit is what? Most significant bit, and the rightmost bit is what? Least significant bit. So in the least significant bit, what number you see? Odd number. You see 1. 1 is odd, right? 1 is odd.
Yes.
So if you see if you see the binary of any number ending in odd number, then the value has to be an odd number. So it can't be 240. Very simple. If this value ends in 0, then this will be what? Even number. Then it can't be an odd number. That number cannot be odd. So whether it is odd or even, you can make out with this bit. And this is what later on will be used to do maybe traffic filter, route filtering. When I say that okay, we have to filter odd routes or we have to filter even routes. So that's the reason odd and even, we have something called as what? Odd and even access list. So the least significant bit, always see any binary number, see what is this value. If it is 1, then the answer has to be an odd. If it is 0, then the answer has to be what? Even. So it can't be 240. Now let's see whether it is 239. So what somebody did, how you got 239? Maybe he added up like 128 plus 64 plus 32, then 8, 4, 2, 1. Correct?
Yes, correct.
So up to here, how much you got? 240. Up to here you got 224. Then 224 plus 8. How much? 232, 236, 238, and then 239. Correct? Is this the way you did?
We can minus from 255, 16.
Okay, so somebody has another idea. See, if you start playing with these numbers, every day you will come up with something new. So somebody says that only one bit was off. So best is what? The whole value, if all the bits are on, we get what? 255. That's the range, right? 0 to 255. If
Right.
all the bits are zeros, we get 0. If all the bits are on, we get 255. So somebody says that straight away deduct from 255 minus 16. Very good. Suppose this bit is also 0, then what you will do? You will add this 32 plus 16 first.
Yes.
That is 48. And then you subtract it from what?
255.
255. So there is always some addition, some subtraction involved, right? So if this number is getting what we get now? 192 plus, 255 minus 255 minus 48. How much? 207. 207, correct? 207. Any other way? Any other way? suppose I give like this number now, then what will happen? Okay.
201, I guess.
How you did that?
32 plus 16 plus 8.
Okay.
48
Now-
plus 8, 56
Okay.
minus 55, 255.
Okay, hold on. Let me use this thing first.
181.
128.
It's 199.
Let me keep 1 second. 1 second. Hold on.
My bad, 199. Yep.
So let's see, we have
I
this
think
numbers.
it's
Okay, I'm
181.
keeping this up only now, so this doesn't go off. So I'll show you something now. Let me straight away right now. So as I said, suppose this is somebody gives you like this. So what we did, somebody did what? Added these three numbers, the bits which are missing, which are off. You added their total and then you subtracted 32 plus 16 plus 8. 32 plus 8, 40 plus 16. How much? 56. So 55 minus 56, 199 something somebody got. Like, okay. Now see what I can tell you. You have this how much? This is 192. Okay. This is 192. And this is 7 basically. If these three bits are on, this is 7. 192 plus 7, 199. Why I say it is 7? I did not add it up. This 4 plus 2 plus 1. What is the value? What is the value? These are the three bits, right? Like that. Before this 3 bit, this 4th bit, what is the value? 8. So this bit whose value is 8. After that, the least significant bit will be always what? It will be always 1 minus than the previous bit value. So this is 7. Suppose if I say, like this. What it will be? This bit value is what? 32. If you see here, this is 32, right? So this will be what? 31.
31.
Like that. So 192 plus 31, like this. If it is like this, then this is what?
63.
63. All, let's say all are on. Then what we get?
255.
255. Why? Because this is already 128, correct?
Yes.
So the remaining will be what? 127. 128 plus 127, 255. So it is always 1 less than the previous power. Whatever is the value of that previous bit, it is always 1 less. So anyway, whichever way you can calculate the number fast, please go with it. Whatever, suppose you already know something and that helps you to calculate the decimal value fast, stick to it. It's not that whatever I show you that you have to follow, because there could be 10 different ways possible somebody can come up. Every day you play with this number, some new idea will come up. So just requires little bit practice. That's it.
So here we can remember this number also. 228 plus 192, 192, so 240,
Yeah, this is what
240,
like one. If some people
248
remember
plus
like that, 1 1 0 0. If there's like, let me just clear my drawing. If you see, if I say like this starts with what? This is 128,
192,
correct? This is 128,
128, right?
right there. Then 2-bit, we call this as what? 2-bit. If 2 bits are
192.
on, then this becomes 192, like that. If it is 3-bit, basically 111, it becomes 224. 4-bit means how much? 240. 5-bit means 248. 6 bits means what? 252. 7-bit means what? 254. And 8 is 255. So 224, 240, 248. 252, like that. So you keep on going like this, you keep on increasing the ones, keep on reducing the zeros, and you get this standard values 120. These are the values which will be there in your subnet mask. These are the values which can be there in your subnet mask. Okay, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see, we have done from binary to decimal, or from decimal to binary. Okay. How about, see, basically like you have troubleshooting, you need to do diagnosing possibilities, fault finding. Maybe you have to use some packet captures like Wireshark and all, and then maybe you can see the binary values and all like that. So that's the reason it's better, like we have QoS. In QoS also, sometimes you will see the decimal value, sometimes you can see the binary values if you decode a packet. So that's the reason this is all needed, basically. Everybody should be comfortable with this. In a real world, in the industry, when if you're working, maybe there may be possibly you don't require all this to do the calculation, and that's the reason many times some people their practice goes off, and then we become dependent on the calculator. Let us take a number. Okay, 200. I want the value for this 200 in hexadecimal. Hexadecimal. So what will be the hex value for 200? So how to do this now? So one method is what? First, calculate the value of this, calculate the decimal value of this 200. So what will be the decimal value of 200? If you see here now, on top,
192 plus 8.
it cannot be this third bit cannot be on, because the third bit becomes what? If you remember, 3-bit basically means what? 224. So basically 200 basically means what? This bit and this 2 bits only. The binary is what? 1 1 0 0 1.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. So this is 1 1 0 0 1 1. So this is the binary of 200. Now to calculate the hexadecimal, what we do?
Hello.
Yes, who is this? Guys, when we need to talk, you need to ask questions, or when you need to answer, that time only keep your mic on. Please mute your mic.
Okay, sir. Okay.
1 byte is equal to how many bits? 8 bits, we say, right? Like that. 1 byte is also called as what? 1 octet. So 1 octet is what? 8 bits. And now we have something called as what? 1 nibble. N-I-B-B-L-E. 1 nibble. Now 1 nibble is how many bits? It's like half of the octet. It's 4 bits basically. So this is what? If you want to calculate the hexadecimal, you convert the octet into what? Nibble. So nibble basically means what? 4 bits. And if you have only 4 bits now, what will be the values of these 4 bits? It will be 1, 2, 4, 8. Then again 1, 2, 4, 8. So now these 2 bits in the first, if you see in the first nibble, these 2 bits are on. So what is the value? I get it here what? 12. And what is the value I get here? 8. So what is the binary? Is it 128? No. Why? Because you can't have number 12 in hexadecimal. So in hexadecimal, basically the number starts from what? 0 to 9. The number starts with what? 0 to 9. And then from 10 onwards, you have what? Alphabets. 10 is what? A. And like that, you go up to what? 15. 15 is what? F. So 11 is what? B. 12 will be what? C. 13 will be what? D. And that's the reason I cannot write the hexadecimal of 200 as 128. This 12 will be written as what? Replaced by C. So it is C8. So 200 can be written like that. It will be like this. How we denote hex? We write as 0x. This is the denotation for specifying a hexadecimal number. C8. Clear, guys? So this is one method of calculating the hexadecimal. Let us see now what I calculated. 200 is C8. Is it correct or not? And there you see it shows me all straight away. Decimal is like that. Binary is 11001000 over here. If you see, hexadecimal is C8. Binary is 10 like that. Clear, guys? How to calculate a decimal value? How to convert a decimal value into hexadecimal? It's a notation for indicating hex, to indicate that after this now whatever number is following is the hex value of some decimal number. So that is the notation 0x. We all use internet, we all use browsers, we all go to different sites. What is the protocol we normally use? What is the protocol we normally use? We use normally HTTP. Okay, now today we have what? HTTPS, secure HTTP. What is the port number for HTTP?
Port 80.
80, right?
Yes.
What about Telnet port number?
23.
23. Telnet port
23.
number is 23.
23.
Like that. What is the port number for SMTP?
25.
25. Very good. HTTPS
443.
443. DHCP
768.
67, 68. Hmm. What about DNS?
53.
53. Very good. FTP
21.
2021.
2021.
SSH
22.
22. Like that.
22.
What about TFTP?
67. Sorry,
67 is all
69.
69. Very good. Okay, 69. Very good.
69.
So see, I'm asking you this port numbers of this protocols, and everybody is very quickly answering. And that's the reason this port numbers, this protocols, whatever protocols I named, I called up. They are called as what? Well-known port numbers or well-known protocols. So everybody in the networking world, they should be or they must be aware of this protocol. This is like very basic common knowledge, like that. Nothing like very advanced. So the moment you come into a networking course in the very beginning of your career, whenever you start, somebody must have told you about IP addressing. Somebody must have told you about all this, all this protocol that okay, HTTP, this is also called as www. This is the protocol which is used for browsing the internet. Then we have secure HTTP. Then you have this thing DHCP, DNS, NTP, Telnet, FTP, TFTP, SMTP, POP. And then they'll tell you also all these port numbers and all, right? What is the port number for TCP? Because this is also well known. TCP, UDP, they are also well known. What is the port number for TCP?
79.
Pardon?
6.
Number 6.
Number 6. Sorry, 6.
And UDP?
17.
Sorry, both the answers are wrong.
TCP and UDP is totally 65,000 some ports, right? So totally they use the entire.
TCP is 7.
TCP is 7. Okay, very good. So we have somebody said 6, somebody is saying 7. Any other wild guesses people want to do?
Basically, TCP use the port number, right?
Actually, if you see, my question itself was wrong.
Yes, TCP use
I
port.
trapped you guys, I trapped you. I asked you a wrong question. Your answer should be said, sorry sir, what you are asking is wrong. TCP doesn't have a port number. TCP, UDP, they don't have port number. They have what? Protocol number. The protocol number for TCP is 6 and protocol number for UDP is 17. Any idea why? See, TCP, this is also protocol, UDP is a protocol, ICMP is a protocol, OSPF is a protocol, EIGRP protocol, RIP protocol, BGP is protocol. As all are protocols ultimately, right? Like that. They are all protocols. Ultimately, what are these protocols? They will be ultimately what? Some programs, some scripts in the background, right? Written. So these protocols are nothing but what? Programs created to do something, do a specific work. So if all these are programs, all these are ultimately we call them as protocols only, because in DHCP also the P basically means protocol. In RIP also it is P means protocol. EIGRP also it is P means protocol. BGP also P means protocol. NTP also P protocol. FTP also P protocol. SMTP protocol, SNMP protocol, syslog protocol. So all ultimately all are protocols. Then why some protocols have port numbers and why some protocols have protocol numbers? Why can't everybody have port number? Why can't everybody have or protocol number?
Because port number maybe it is fixed. Because like an example of HTTP, it is fixed.
No, so that is, no, but for TCP also it is fixed, no? 6.
Yet it is TCP fixed, but it is depend upon different uses. You can change. It is not like the TCP for 6. It changed, but for HTTP it is always fixed. But if yes, the transfer of data, it is changes. So
Protocol
it
numbers or port
depend it is changed.
protocol numbers or port numbers don't change. TCP will always remain 6. UDP will always remain 17. ICMP will be always 1. OSPF will be always 89.
But I changed.
BGP will be always 179 port number.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Protocol means set up
But in
rules and
depending operating system, the TCP uses changes. If it is in Windows, the TCP
No.
for
It is,
TCP.
how is it possible in Windows and Linux and all like that? Not possible. No? Solaris, it will be something different. Not possible. These are standard open protocols. These are not
standard.
belonging to any vendor, and vendors cannot change their port numbers.
Okay, sir. So the standard protocols are working on a layer 7, and these are TCP as a layer working on a layer 4. So BGP, TCP, UDP, this communication has happened on the layer 4. But the HTTP, FTP, SMTP, those are working on a layer 7.
Okay.
Also,
Let me draw something. Okay.
also entire protocol suite, whereas the port numbers are the services provided to the particular application like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP. These are services.
So we have our OSI model, correct? Layer 1 to layer 7. On layer 3, who works? Who is there?
Router.
We have the boss, only one guy right now surviving.
Yeah.
Who is that guy? IP. Okay.
Yes.
So on layer 3, we have something called as what? IP. I call this as what? Funnel. IP funnel, like that. Okay. So this IP on layer 3, like that. Suppose some data is coming to IP now. So now IP needs immediately what? Some assistant to work with. So he has what? So you have the immediate assistant of IP, the immediate assistant of IPs. Who is there? TCP,
And UDP.
UDP, ICMP, like that. So the protocols who are immediately working above IP, we call this layer as what? Transport layer, correct? So if a protocol is working on transport layers, they have what? Protocol number. They are identified by a number which is called as what? Protocol number. And now we have what? Thousands of applications. We have thousands of applications. Like that. That's the reason we have what? We created what? These applications. These applications work on which layer? Layer 7. like that something. If you see, these are all applications. So if a user, if a user is using, let's say, RIP protocol, you're configuring routing, you are using RIP protocol. So what is the port number for RIP? RIP version 2.
520.
RIP number, port number is 520.
520.
What type of protocol it is?
UDP.
So say this is RIP. So if it is RIP, it comes under family of what? UDP. So these applications, so when somebody is creating or developing an application, anybody is developing an app, the developer will have two requirements. How this app will perform. What do you want this app to do? If the requirement is what? Speed. Or this app should be what? Reliable. Speed not a criteria. The data transfer, the communication must be what? Reliable. So anytime a developer is creating an application to do some specific activity or task, they think how this task has to be done. This communication in this task, it has to be reliable or it has to be fast. So if the requirement is what? Speed, then this application
UDP.
will be based on what? UDP. If the requirement is
Reliability.
reliability, TCP. And that is how we say HTTP is what? TCP port number 80. We say, Telnet is what? TCP port number 23. We say DNS is what? UDP port number 53, correct? DHCP is UDP port number 6768. NTP UDP port number 123. Syslog UDP port number 514. Why? Because this, sometimes you don't require in TCP, reliability is ensured by what? How reliability is achieved?
Three-way handshake.
Through a three-way handshake, right? We have three-way handshake. First the two devices who want to communicate, they will say hi, hello, how are you, everything good, fine, like that. They are wasting time. But they, in doing this, even though it has taken time, but now they set up what? A path, a virtual path they have created. And now once the path is there and once a communication channel is created between the two devices, now anything if they send, it can be what? Sent reliably. If they are sending, there will be acknowledgement. If something is missing, it will be retransmitted. So you have in TCP reliability is there. But in doing so, the communication will become what? Little slow. If you see DNS, we type www.cisco.com. Our computer, our laptop, mobile today, does it understand www.cisco.com?
No.
No, it does not understand. What it does, it tries to resolve this URL into what? An IP address. So it has to talk to whom? To a DNS server, correct? DNS server is there, whose job is to provide what? IP addresses for the URLs. So if you just think now, I'm typing www.cisco.com or HTTPS or whatever I type, Cisco, some URL I'm typing for some website. And now my device does not know the IP address, so it has to talk. So if it is talking to DNS, it will say, hi DNS, how are you? Everything is good. Can you tell me the IP address of URL? Waste of time, right? I'm interested to go to the internet. I want the web pages to open fast. And that's the reason this communication cannot be reliable. I want to is what? Speed. DNS server, what is the IP address for this URL? That's it. I send it once, finish. If it doesn't land on the DNS, I will send it again. DNS will send a response. Okay, you want IP address? Here is the IP address. No acknowledgement. If I don't get the IP address from the DNS server, again query. Like that. So anytime applications are created, either they will be based on UDP or they will be based on TCP. So if you see, here we have what? All these applications. So applications which work on layer 7, they have what? Port numbers. And applications which work on layer 4, the transport layer, we call them as what? Protocols. And that's the reason they have what? Protocol number. What is the protocol number range? Protocol number range will be what?
Five five four.
255. Protocol number range will be what? 255. 0 to 255. Of course, 0 can't be there, but it's the range. It's a range. So actual number will be what? Starting from what? 1. And what is 1? Who is 1? Protocol number 1?
ICMP.
ICMP. You know, the best friend of IP. Every day we do ping, right? Everybody is doing ping.
Yes.
How many times have you done ping in your lifetime so far? Thousands of times? Thousands of times? Or million times?
Too many times.
Too many times. Maybe every day, maybe 5 times, 10 times, 100 times somebody might be doing ping, right? Anything goes wrong, first thing we do ping trace, right? Correct?
Right.
Have you done ping from Cisco router anytime in your, maybe in your, in your simulator or on an actual device? Doesn't matter. Have you done?
Yes.
Industry or in somebody's fresher? Still, even if somebody is fresher, he has not worked in the industry, but if he has done some CCNA or any networking course, and if he has access to any physical device or simulator, logical virtual device, like that. So we have done ping, right, every day, correct?
Yes, every day.
How many ping packets a Cisco router sends by default?
5. 5 by default 5.
5 packets, very good. What is the size of each ping packet?
100 bytes.
How much?
100.
100?
64.
64, very good. Anybody else? 100, 64, 1500 byte ping packet. Fantastic. So this is what is called as what? Your observation. Sometimes we use something so frequently, daily, every day we use, but our observation is not, we are not focused. Like that. When you do a ping, it tells you it is sending 5 packets, and it also tells you the size of each ping packet. And still we see I'm getting so many different answers. Somebody said 100, somebody said 64, somebody is saying 1500. Maybe if there are 100 people, I might get possibility 100 answers, or maybe 10 answers I will get. Like that. So anyway, without wasting time, the default ping size, if I specified clearly the vendor, we are doing a Cisco course, I'm more interested in Cisco. The size of a ping packet is 100 byte. What about Windows machine, the next popular operating system in the world? If you do a ping from a Windows machine, command prompt to any IP, how many packets Windows machine generate?
32.
No. How many packets?
4 packets.
Four
Four
packets.
packets. And how what is the size of each pin packet in Windows?
32 bytes.
32.
32,
164.
64, or 164. 164. Okay. Anybody else? See, 32, 164. Somebody is telling 128. Very basic things I'm asking. Nothing, like advanced topics of CCI Enterprise. Very basic thing.
32 bits each packet.
32 byte, not bits. So
Yeah,
you
it is
need. So when you
32
answer,
bytes.
when you answer something, you need to be confident. You need to stick to your answer. Don't fumble. This is what in interviews somebody will ask you. Then you say 32. Then you say no. He says 32. You get scared. No, 30. No, 64, sir. You should be confident because very basic fundamental thing somebody is asking you. So you are every day you are doing something this thing like that. Linux, all Unix operating system, they always generate each ping packet will be how many bytes? 64 byte. And then there is no the count is not fixed. The count is not standardized. The count is not standardized. We'll take a small break now. Okay. We'll take a small break now, 10 minutes break. Then we'll continue. Okay. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, sir.
Just
Thank you.
you can also get somebody can want to get refresh. Please get a refresh. Okay. So see you guys in 10 minutes.
Sure, sir.
So 9:45.
Okay, let's begin now. Is the audio clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let's continue now.
We can hear. Yeah, clear now.
Thank you. So why protocol range is only from 0 to 255 now?
Hello, Abid?
The protocol number range, as I said, is 0 to 255, right?
Abid?
Yes, sir.
Let me write. It is 0 to 255, the range. And what about the port number?
Uh, 0 to 65,555.
36.
65535.
35.
It doesn't matter even if it is like somebody says 65K. Okay, 0 to 65K. Like that. Okay. So why protocol number range is only 0 to 255 and why port number is 0 to 65K? Why? The reason is what? To indicate the protocol, you have only 1 byte. And 1 byte is equal to how many bits? 8 bit. And 8, what is the power of 8? 2 raised to 8 is what? 256. Means 0 to 255. And for port number, how many bytes you have? You have 2 bytes, 16 bits. And 2 raised to 16 is 65K. Okay. You have, as I said, this protocol basically means what? The protocols which work immediately above IP, transport layer, correct? So in the IP header, any idea IP header, how big is the IP header? Minimum size of an IPv4 header?
Yes.
IPv4, what is the IPv4 header? Minimum size?
16 bits.
Bytes.
It's 20 bytes. So for byte, we always indicate by what? Uppercase B, capital B. Okay. For bits, it will be always lowercase b. So it is minimum is IPv4 header minimum size is for 20 bytes and maximum it can be up to 40 bytes. Means 20 bytes additional can be added. That is called as optional field. So in this 20 byte of IPv6 header, 1 byte out of this 20 byte, 1 byte is reserved for what? Protocol field. So whenever you receive an IP packet, if you open the IP packet, okay, in some Wireshark, something like packet decoder, if you open it, you will see there is a field which is called as what? Protocol. So what is the format for this IPv4 header? It is made up of so many fields. Why 20 byte? Because it is actually made up of what? So many. Normally, in packet forwarding, somebody is explaining, we normally say source address. In the IP header, we have source address, destination address, right? So if it is only source address and destination address, for source address, how many bytes? IPv4 we already discussed. It is what? 4 byte. So source address 4 byte, destination address is what? 8 byte. So in the IP header, if only CA and only SA and only DA will be there, then the IP header would have been only what? 8 bytes. But no, it is 20 byte. Why? Because not only source address and destination address, there are other fields also in the IP header. I'm just giving you shortcuts. So this is the altogether IP header 20 byte. So this is this is 4 byte, 4, 4. Oh. So if you see source address, destination address, they are in the end of the IP header, almost in the end. So So where is this protocol field? This is the T. Protocol field. Okay. So this is 1 byte here. This is 1 byte. So protocol numbers, they will be only in the range of 0 to 255. Why? Because to indicate a protocol in the IP header, we have only 1 byte of space. On the field to indicate IP, the field to indicate the protocol is only 1 byte. And 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. 2 to the power of 8 is 256. 0 to 255 is the range. Whereas the port numbers, the range is what? 0 to 65K. Exactly, to be exact, 65535, 65K. Why? Because you have 2 bits, 2 bytes. 2 byte basically means how many bits? 16 bits altogether. And 2 raised to 16 is what? 65K. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear.
Yes.
Yes.
So now, like very basic, something fundamental things today we covered. I tried to explain you IP addressing, something very basic, how to calculate the decimal, how to do the hexadecimal. Okay, I showed you how to calculate the hexadecimal by converting what? The number into what? First I converted the number into what? Binary, right? If you guys remember. Then I split that binary 8 bits, I split into what? 2 half, 4 bits. Then I did like that. Then I calculated the value, and then I said that okay, in hexadecimal the number cannot be above 9. You can't say 10 is 10. 10 is basically what? A to F. So it is altogether what? Basically 0 to 15. That means it is hexadecimal is what? It's like you are using 0 to 15 means 16. It's a 16 number scheme. Why hexadecimal? If you see, if I want to store a number 255, okay, if you want to store a number 255, how many space you require? 3 space, right? But if I use hexadecimal to store 255, it will require only 2 memory space. FF. That's the reason this becomes what? This is basically an efficient mechanism of storing data, hexadecimal, because it saves 1 space. Just think, see, as I said, the number example, if you remember the number I gave, I showed how to calculate the hexadecimal of 200. What we got? If you remember, it was C8. You see, any number 3 digits, we are replacing with what? 2 digits. It becomes what? An efficient mechanism of storing data. So that's the reason whatever we type basically in the background, basically, if you open up any packet capture and all, you will see most of the data appearing in hexadecimal. In the very beginning I asked you that telnet port number is what? 23. Somebody also answered correctly 23. Yes, very good. That was, so somebody said telnet port number is 23. But if you open a packet in a Wireshark or in any packet decoder, you will not see the value as 23. You will see it as what? 50. You will see, maybe it will not be seen as, please understand, it will not be seen as 23. I'm just example I'm telling you. It will not be like 23, will not be seen as 23. It will be seen as what? Something different. Like 80. If I say HTTP 80, port number 80, how it will be seen? It will not be seen as 80, because this packet captures, or this, when these applications are displaying you the packet, they display the values in what? Hex. So 23 hex will be now what? It will be seen as what? 17. Whereas 80 will be seen as what? 50. Why like this? Why 23 is, it will be seen as 17? Because it shows this value in the what? If I simply write 17, people will not understand what is it. It is decimal or hexadecimal. That's the reason you should always write what? If you want to tell anybody that it is an hexadecimal, we indicate by what? 0x. So we'll conclude the session for the day. Okay, now we started a little bit late. That's the reason I wanted to extend a little bit. But tomorrow onwards, we'll begin the class at 8 a.m. and we'll end the class by 10 a.m. Indian Standard Time, according to, right?